Hey everyone, it's Samantha SageGnosis Stevens. I'm here for Chopsky TV and I'm with Persia.
Yes, hello.
How is your Red Bull Battlegrounds going?
Well, it is going very well. Doing some awesome content with Red Bull this weekend, talking about jobs in eSports, which has been pretty exciting to hear, everyone's different perspective and how they've made it to where they are. So you guys should check it out.
And yesterday I heard that there was a women in eSports luncheon?
Yes.
Or brunch or whatever. Mm-hmm. How cool was that? Because I know that you were part of it, and I know that there was actually a decent list. So that's why my brain shut down for a second. But how fun was that to be involved with that whole thing?
Actually, I had an awesome time. The brunch was great, food was great, but my favorite thing about it was just being in a room full of other women who all have, the same type of passion for the things that I do. Whereas, when I first started out in competitive games, 12, 13 years ago, it was unheard of that I'd ever be in a room full of women also interested in games. So it was really exciting. ESA Foundation, they are putting together the We Are, hashtag We Are, and they're, showing off all these amazing women and what they do and how badass they are. So you guys should definitely check that out too. I believe the website is wearevideogames.org. Okay. And there's so many awesome women on that page and more to come because all of the women that were at the brunch yesterday. So
that's actually super cool. I didn't know about that part. So this weekend today specifically is the NA Regional Qualifier for the Capcom Cup. It's a pretty stacked top 8. Even the names that people don't know are very strong players. You can't really sleep on IDOM or Brian F or 801 Strider, or even Cool Kid as he showed last night. If I was to put you on the hot seat right now, who do you think wins the NA Regional Qualifier?
IDOM all day. Let's go. NYC, we're in there. I got all of my money on IDOM. Definitely supporting hometown.
All right. Now, here's the question that I started with Tasty Steve, and now I just feel like making everyone suffer. So at ESL 1 New York, I made Tasty Steve tell me who he thought the top 8 at Capcom Cup was going to be.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm going to do the same thing to you.
For Street Fighter?
Yeah.
Oh man.
We'll get to Marvel. We'll get to Marvel. Don't worry. You can't talk to Persia and not talk about Marvel.
Exactly.
So okay. So who is your top 8?
That is definitely a hot seat question. I don't even know if I can think of 8 people, and I don't really know who's currently qualified. So I'm like,
all right. Who do you want to see win Capcom Cup then?
Anybody from New York. No, no, but for real, he's not from New York. Let's see. People I would like to win. If I'm thinking with my heart here, I would love to see players like Dominion, show up, do his thing.
Is he qualified?
I'm not 100% sure.
He needed to win this weekend to be qualified.
I see. Okay. But yeah, players like Dominion I'm a huge fan of, and other people in Street Fighter that I'm a fan of would probably be more or less known people, so people like 801 Strider and Mena RD, or people like that. Yeah, we all know who are the top players, who are the ones to beat. But what I have always loved is the underdog story and people showing up big time, making kind of their debut. Mm-hmm. We might see these people around, but there's always that one event or that one tournament where someone really steps up to the plate, and I feel like Capcom Cup is the perfect place to do something like that. So hopefully, we'll see some surprises, some upsets, and, players like 801 Strider and even Guilty. I'm a fan of Guilty and her play too. So it's players that are on the up and up right now. Those are the people I usually root for.
Okay, and since we have to talk about Marvel, about them Dante nerfs.
Woo.
Man, at first
I thought my boy 30.
At first I was like, all right, Dante definitely needed some fixing. He definitely needs some balancing, but it almost feels like the Nash nerfs, where it was just we don't know what the problem is, so let's just hit everything. And then the problem, the fear I have is that companies usually don't rev backwards. Mm-hmm. In League of Legends, there have been champions who have gotten some serious nerfs because they were a problem, and then were never touched for years. And I'm worried that Dante may never recover. So what do you think of the Dante? So we'll start with what do you think of the Dante nerfs?
Well, history repeats itself, right? Marvel 3 to Ultimate Marvel 3, Dante got hit by the nerf hammer pretty hard. You know, well, I wouldn't say as hard as he did in Infinite, but he definitely underwent, you know, some drastic changes from Marvel 3 to Ultimate, and only the true Dante lovers like survived. And I feel like it's going to be the exact same this time. You know, Dante, you know, he was pretty broken, right? Everybody is using him right now. The patch notes came out, and everyone's like, I'm dropping him. It's over with. But to be honest, like the things that they did take away from him, not speaking about the damage, but like his actual tools and the things that he uses, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. They just took out a bit of the derpiness. Like, you can't just wash, rinse, repeat, like, the same 3 moves that were so powerful with him. Like, you actually have to play a little bit more neutral now. And I think that's great because as a Dante player, even through all of Marvel 3, I was a Dante player. And he's a fun character, and he's supposed to be technical like that. Like, if you've ever played any of the Devil May Cry games, you know, all the combos and everything you do in those games, it's going to be similar. You know, you need to be able to work and actually know your character. The damage nerfs, okay, they took out a lot of damage, but that means everyone's just gonna have to work a little bit harder. But again, that's something that I don't think the true Dante players are gonna get phased by, because we've been through this rodeo before and we're gonna do it again. And what I think is the saving grace for Infinite in general is just the gameplay mechanics, the tag system. Yeah, you might have your, you know, damage nerfed, but I don't feel like Infinite is the type of game where you need big damage combos. What you need is solid setups, airtight frame drops, and resets. You know, that's what you actually need, because that's where you're going to get your good damage, which is why I'm not too, you know, upset about the damage nerfs with Dante, because he's still a reset machine. And then with the tag system, with the mechanics, you know, you bring in another character, an Ultron or, you know, a Gamora or somebody else, and you're right back in, you know, you're right back in there. So that's what I love about Infinite right now. You know, even with the damage nerf, I still think he's going to be fine. People are just going to have to work a little harder.
We have the Battle of the Stones coming up.
Yes.
I have to say, I'm a little, it's kind of gimmicky. While it is very interesting that all the stones do something that's not just, oh, you got a seat because you won the Power Stones, and that's all the Power Stone is a seat. I do like that all of the stones do something, but do you think that it's a little too gimmicky?
No, I think it's actually great, because Infinite kind of released at a time that was in a weird period with the season, you know what I mean? Like, there are still tournaments and stuff like that, but there's kind of like this little bit of a lull. So I think it's great because, you know, how many years have we been doing this tournament thing? How many times do we go to a tournament, run the bracket, find a champion, move on with our life, and then on to the next weekend, right? But this is like more of an exhibition, which is why I don't think that it's too gimmicky, because it's not like just a straight up tournament. I'm not sure if they're gonna like keep running this format in the future, but for now I think it's a really interesting exhibition, spicing up our normal tournament, you know, routine that we're so used to, and just throwing in these crazy stones and powers. Like, I cannot wait until someone gets so salty that they just, you know, got hit with Mind Stone or something.
You mean like the Visicant stone?
Oh my goodness! Like, and you guys, I'm just gonna say,
meme is I was great, like the Visicant stone. Because it's what, the time stone that you get? No, is it?
Which one for
the choose somebody else in the bracket?
Oh yeah, I think it's like, was it reality or was it?
It might be mind. No, because mind is change somebody's controls.
Yes. I think it's reality. You can move yourself to a different part in the bracket or something like that.
So I love that immediately the community made that the Visicant stone, because everyone thinks Visicant is free.
And then they're like, oh, I just gotta say, the community, you guys are hilarious, because every time a new stone comes out, you guys make some funny meme out of it. They're like, oh, this is the top player privilege stone. I was like, I'm dead right now. I can't.
Community names for all of the stones. Exactly. That's why I want them to keep it, though. Because what I think would be interesting is that so you don't keep the Evo champions, and then next year you do like a community vote or they just go, you know, we decided to invite the first place finishers, the top 8 of Evo.
Yeah.
That would be hype.
Yeah.
If the Battle of the Stones is like, oh, well, Evo top 8, they're all seeded, and now you're battling for a new.
To the same routine. Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
That
would be a new tradition. So to end this interview, I wanted to talk about being a caster and a host. Oh man, my League of Legends slipped out. A commentator and a host. It's a lot of people talk about it being very hard to break into the scene, especially if you don't live in like California or New York, or I hear like Texas has a really strong scene, Florida. What is your advice, especially for women, to sort of not only get experience, but sort of find their ways onto like, you know, the Evo stage or, you know, the NorCal regional stage? Do you have any advice for people? I
mean, basically my advice would be just if you have like a love and a passion for something, then you need to pursue it, and you just need to like put your everything into it. So for me personally, when I first started out, you know, I loved Marvel, I loved the game, and I loved the community, and all I wanted to do was just be immersed in everything Marvel and FGZ. So, you know, I was going to all my locals, you know, I would try to organize sessions and stuff like that, and just, you know, get in tune with the people around me, start, you know, traveling a little bit. Spend so much money traveling. My credit card, oh God. Okay, anyways, besides that.
Make sure you get one that gives you really good flyer miles.
Yeah, I caught on to the point game like so late. But anyways, yeah, just traveling and, you know, kind of putting yourself out there, which can be a little intimidating sometimes, but you know, if you know what your goals are, you know, they're really true to what you want, then, you know, that intimidation factor doesn't really play as much, you know, of a negative role. It could be something very positive for you. So just, you know, go out there, do your thing. And if you don't have a strong scene, you know, do what you can, try to reach out. There's always going to be at least a couple of other people in your area who are probably playing. It's just a matter of someone taking on the responsibility, you know.
Especially with like Discords now, it's so easy to find local players. Like I didn't know how many Marvel players there were in like the Capital District until I went on some of the Marvel Discords and was asking around, and people were like, oh yeah, I live out in Troy, I live out in Albany, so like
yeah, so it's really cool. It's like just communicating with people, you know, doing a little bit of research, seeing what's in your area, and then if you really don't have that many resources, then you kind of just have to take it into your own hands. That's when I started Marvel Minds and producing content and, you know, trying to help people through, you know, online resources. Just luckily for me, I did have a scene that I could go to. I had, you know, Big E tournaments where I kind of got my start from, and then from there, just like picked up traction. I never in a million years thought I'd be where I'm at now, because I was doing all that just because I loved it, and like I wanted to just get involved and like be hands-on and proactive about it, and it just led me here, and it's like so organic. That's like why it's so comfortable for me to like just do it like now, because it was just really organic. It just kind of happened. So just let your love and passion for whatever you want to do lead you in the right direction.
So true love making.
Yes. Make love to yourself.
Well, thank you very much, Persia. And everybody, remember that esports are real.